Hey, thanks for tuning in today. I'm Chris with Afflictor, and today I want to talk about some fine-tuning scope adjustments for your crossbows that have speed rings on them. So a lot of people that are fresh into the crossbow world or have upgraded their scope, sometimes there's a little bit of an education gap there because they're expecting that scope to function like other scopes. And what's the deal with the speed ring? Why is my bow not shooting properly? Well, it's compensating inside your scope internally for the speed of your crossbow. And there's a really simple way that you can make sure that everything is good to go for your individual setup. One of the first things you need to do is make sure that you know the weight of your bolt. Your bolt weight will not probably weigh, your hunting bolt weight will probably not weigh what any of the specs were that were listed on your crossbow originally. So for example, this is the Viper S400 from 10 Point. If you look at the specs, it'll list 2 or 3 different bolts and the speeds associated. And with the Evo X bolts that I'm shooting, it's a 445 grain bolt. So the speed goes from 400 feet per second to 370. Well, it's a good chance if you're like me, you've put some more weight up front and now your bolt does not weigh anywhere near what the spec sheet said. And that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you're not way underweight, because that's dangerous and hard on your bow and could really result in limb failure. But if you are heavier in weight, it is really important to know what your total bolt weight is so you can adjust your scope, your speed ring to that speed. And it'll make all the difference in the world. It may not make a difference at 20 and 30 yards, but when you get to 40, now all of a sudden you're going to start to see a little bit of drift, left or right. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you a quick formula so that if you need to quickly get your bolt weight and you don't have a chronograph, you don't have a scale, and you need to know your speed, I'm going to give you a real quick formula that'll get you close enough to save you a whole bunch of time. It won't be exact. So let's talk about what you need to do first when you have this type of scope. You start at 20 yards and you keep shooting until you have pinpoint accuracy. Everything is 100% perfect. And then you take your scope cap on the elevation and you put it on, because from there on back you should not have to touch your elevation on these scopes. You should only have to adjust your speed dial. And so as you move back to that 40-yard mark is what you should shoot next. Then you want to go ahead and see with your broadhead, where am I at? Okay, I'm right here. I need to now adjust for my speed. So what is my speed? All right, so this formula is really simple. So basically, the easy part of this formula is you do have to know the total weight of your bolt. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take their bolt weight, which is 445, and you're gonna divide your bolt weight into it, and that's gonna give you a decimal. And that decimal is going to be the percentage of yours versus theirs. And so when you multiply that decimal by their listed feet per second, it's going to get you really close to your feet per second. So for example, 10 Point saying that their bolt weighs 445, mine weighs 522. When I divide 445 by 522, I get 0.85. So when I multiply their listed speed at 370 feet per second by that 0.85, I get 315 feet per second. So now I know I got to get that speed dial down to that 315 feet per second to be able to make those micro adjustments at those long distances.